three different signals that these neurons fire up and then emit out. What are these signals? One is excitatory signal, two inhibitory signal, and three is the modulatory signal. Excitatory signals makes you, stimulate it and then makes you do things. That's how it is. The neurons fire together and makes you think with a kind of stimulation in it. Just like when you appear before an examination, you have to, write out all those things that you have memorized, you have understood, put it out in the form of statements, and then, it should go along with the question. That's how you work. That's how it works. The second is the inhibitory signal. Like there are certain things that like in your life that you don't want to do, like you have been cutting down on carbs and still you are not able to resist the sweets, resist your ice creams. So that becomes very difficult. So these inhibitory signals, which is being struck by the neurons, actually gives you that sort of self discipline in you. It says no, ice creams are sugars, ice creams are heavy carbs. You won't be touching them for the next week. We shall try for the ice creams for the cheat day. That's how we think. The third one is very, very different. It is called the neuromodulatory signal. What happens in this signal? It literally alters the cellular or the neural synaptic arrangement and makes you do, think, speak things in a different manner. And modern medical science have accepted the fact that neuromodulatory signals make people, alter their behavior mechanism, alter their entire system actually. For example, if a person is a hypertensive patient, if his neuromodulatory signals are being activated, he thinks quietly, he alters the entire behavior arrangement. Previously he was so anxious about things, he used to be very irritable and all those things, and that keeps him hypertensive. But when neuromodulatory signals are activated, he is just the opposite of it. He thinks, calms down quietly, and he is able to judge better, he is able to decide better, he would be able to speak, with all those composure inside. So it says even the diseases gets reversed with these neuromodulatory signals. And there have been researchers like stress, anxiety, arthritis, blood pressure high, all of those things gets reversed with neuromodulatory signals. And this has been a new dimension in the healing field, where they start to, work upon the spine, and they call it as spinal stimulation, which is already there in our yoga. We actually try to mobilize the spine, strengthen the spine, and create create this neuromodulatory signals. And that's how diseases are reversed with yoga and meditation. It's so beautiful, is it? Is it not? So when you do this Shavasana, neuromodulatory signals are activated. Hence, not in the case of all the asanas. Why is it so? Vrikshasana is very, very important to reduce blood pressure. But when I say Shavasana can activate neuromodulatory signals, why don't that Vrikshasana does? No, Vrikshasana excites you, gives a stimulation aspect. Or pranayama creates an inhibitory signal inside you, creates that self-discipline, mobilize you in a better manner. But Shavasana has the impact of all the asanas together, put together, and it makes you perceive life in a very different manner. So that's the beauty about it. And hence, everyone, even the professionals of modern medical science, even the doctors of highest order, call this Shavasana as highest healing modality. And I've been discussing about this vagal nerve, the 10th cranial nerve, time and again in all of my discussions, where this vagal nerve gets activated through Shavasana. Vagus nerve activating means the activation of parasympathetic nervous system, which relaxes you more. And the yoga therapy, the entire yoga therapy talks about this key of not stimulating you more, but relaxing. In fact, all the intense activities that you do through Shitilikarna Vyayama, to Sukshma Vyayama, through Yogasanas and all those Surya Namaskar series and Vinyasa flow, all of those stimulations, are aiming this kind of relaxation, this kind of vagal nerve activation. The purpose of doing such stimulation is to enjoy that mind getting detached from all of the muck, all of the dirt that it has, you know. So vagus nerve activation is possible through Shavasana. Neuromodulatory signals are activated, possible through Shavasana. Such beautiful asana it is. It is not an asana which is seen down upon. Now let me just understand how, let me just make you understand how people do Shavasana. When people lie down in Shavasana, they do only two things. Either they sleep off, either they doze off, two, or they are with their own thoughts, but just they are physically lying down. They are mechanically doing this. Instructions are just flowing inside. I'm not paying heed to it. But still, I'm just thinking about what am I going to do at 10:30? What am I going to do at 11 o'clock? Such things, such pondering upon thoughts or plans, that's quite often seen in people who does Shavasana. The word Shava means corpse, dead body. Shavasana actually wants you to be dead with awareness. It is actually wanting you to realize what death is. Remember, Ramana Maharishi got Siddhi, got Samadhi. How did he get Samadhi? He was just 15, 16-year-old kid. No? He lied down once and then just thought, what is this death? Let me practice death. What happens when my toes die? What happens when my ankle joints die? What will happen when my calf muscles die? He went to such an extent. What happens when physical death of all organs happen? He went to such an extent where he could stop his heart functioning, because that's what death is, right? He is a Maharishi, he can do it. But in Shavasana, we are trying to extrapolate actually the major conception of realizing physical death. Now, why are we realizing physical death? Death is so evil, right? Death is so scary. But Indic culture doesn't perceive death as a scary or an evil thing. Are you scared of sleeping at nights? No, no one will. Everybody is happy sleeping at night. It is a yogic sleep that we are going to do. Death is regarded as the deity Rudra or Kali in Indic culture, Why is it so? Why do we worship death? We don't see death as an end of any evil phase, end of any phase for that matter. Might it be evil, might it be happy event. But we see death as a beginning of light. Hence, there are deities for death. We worship death, the Kala, the time, right? Shiva himself, is the ruler, Maha Mrityunjaya, we call him as, he is the ruler of death. He's the conqueror of death. That's how we perceive Shiva as. So through Shavasana practice, we are trying to realize this death at the physical level. Now, why are we doing it? It is the most important and the closest of all asanas that can lead to samadhi. Not your, Siddhasana will, not your, you know, Kaundinyasana will, not your Shirshasana will, not your Ashtavakrasana will, but Shavasana can really take you, move towards that samadhist state, samadhistha state. How how does this mechanism operate? When you try to detach yourself from the toe joint, that it is my toe joint, and I'm observing my toe joint dying. Now, we don't say it is dying, but we say, relax your toe joint. No? Relax your soles. Loosen your ankle joints. When the instructions flow that way, what do? You try to focus your mind over the toe joint and then detach. You try to focus your mind to the ankle joint and then detach. You try to focus your mind to the soul and then detach. So you would learn focus and defocus together. That's a beautiful art that is not even taught in the modern education system. All in the school that we were doing is focusing, and we are, helping kids also. With all those tuitions, with all those homeworks, we actually make them to focus. But God knows, with all these focusing, where are we going? Only God knows. The act of defocus that we do along with focus will make you, think open, will make your vision wide. Don't you think so? Too much of focus, what will happen? I have a few disadvantages. The list of all disadvantages. What happens with too much of focus? What will happen with too much of attachment to the things? Okay. Why is this detachment very important? And why is the spirituality often talks about detaching, often talks about Sakshi Bhava, witness attitude? Number one, the first con is being burnt out. When you can do things with immense energy, with bubbling energy, what will happen? Within a very short period of time, get exhausted. With passion, with immense energy, you are readily, burnt out. Burning out is first disadvantage with attachment, with focus. And that's why kids get, exhausted even after watching TV. If we, you know, take a journey of a train, we were sitting and lying down, and we had a comfortable journey at the train. We had all the things that we could have: water, food, delicious, everything was nice. But still, while we arrive at our destination, we try to sleep more. Why is it so? Because we were constantly attaching ourselves to the thoughts, because we didn't have any other thing to do. When we attach ourselves to the thoughts, we burnt out. So burning out is the first disadvantage of too much of focus and attachment, for that matter. The second thing is, when you attach yourself to your work or to the people around, what will happen? It comes with a price. You gain a strong urge or will to control upon people. You become Hitler. You start to dictate. You become a person whom you will not accept as a boss. You start to boss around, and this happens. We are so blindfolded with ego that we don't see that. So with attachment comes that strong urge to control situations. And to our discontent, the reality is we don't get to control situations. We can't control those situations which are overpowered by Prakriti, overpowered by cosmos. Yeah. Can you change your life partner? You've been with him, you've been with her for 20, 25 years. Can you change your daughter? Can you change your son? They are one amsha from your own body, right? It is you who have gave birth to them. Why can't you change them? Nobody can change nothing, but change is inevitable. But when you attach yourself to people or to situations, you have this strong urge to, okay, let me just change this, and situations will be a lot more easy for me to take. No, it can't happen. That's the greatest foolish mistake that we do. And we believe in it, that we would be changing it one day or the other. I'm not hopeless. I'm going to do it. You can't change anyone. The only thing that you could change is you yourself. Right? Right. 10% right. So with attachment, this price of controlling people, controlling over situations, that ego being fed comes up. You know. Hence, detachment is more important. Hence, that Sakshi Bhava, being a witness to things, is more important. The third disadvantage, when you have too much of attachment, too much of passion towards work, towards people, or towards situations, you stop think, legibly. There is some kind of delusion that happens in your thinking. For example, you know, when you're attached to your cat, you know, when you're attached to your cat, there's something wrong happening to the cat. He is sick, she is sick. Okay. You are at your office, the cat is at home, food is there, you have trained her, wonderful. But she is sick and you are not in your office, you are at your home with the cat mentally, but physically doing work. You are not providing justice to your work, nor to your cat. That is a kind of, fix that we go through with attachment. So you don't love cats? No, you should be loving cat. You should be handling your pets. I'm not saying no to it. But when you're attached too much, it will, the attachment in Sanskrita, we call it a Sangha. The Sangha, it itself will make your thoughts so conjured up that you will not be thinking, acting legibly. In the right manner, how you should be. I have seen a person completely depressed coming to the studio. I'm not going to mention his name, but it is very horrible to listen to his story. He was the only witness to all his, family relatives, his wife, his kids, two daughters he had, you know. He saw the entire family getting burnt down with a small fire accident that they had met with. I said, "You are alive. How was that possible?" He said, "I was alive because I was a little far away, but the very act of that rage of fire spread so quickly, I couldn't do anything, but I felt I was, stoned. I couldn't do anything." That is what attachment makes you do. It will not make you think properly. It will not make you act according to the, how you should be acting at that particular moment. Such horrifying event it was. When I was listening to his story, I was really, um, shocked hearing that story, but it gave a great lesson that we are all attached to the family more, not loving the family. If we are in love, we will be able to think properly, act properly. Involvement of Vijnanamaya Kosha, Panchakosha, you might have heard about the 5 layers that we have. Body, Annamaya Kosha. 2, Pranamaya Kosha, the energy. 3, Manomaya Kosha, the mind. 4, Vijnanamaya Kosha, the intellect. That which says this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is evil. Okay. And 5th is Anandamaya Kosha. A person is said to be holistic only when he could use all these 5 layers. You know, when you are attached, your manomaya kosha becomes, your mind becomes so strong, so dominated by that fear, dominated by that panic, it loses the functioning of Vijnanamaya kosha, the intellect. It had lost in this case. Don't you see that? So attachment will not make you think properly. It will create a delusion that you are doing it right, but you aren't. You know? So start loving people than getting attached. The last disadvantage that, you know, it is actually the advantage of detachment that I should say. When you are progressing through a piece of work, suppose you are designing some, project, the project to be um, soon implemented. You are so indulged into it, so involved into it, that you start to think the project as your own child, is your own product of your mind, and you don't verify that things with the third party. And then later on you think about it, okay, let me just take the viewpoints of other persons, and then you start to discuss with people. When people gives the pros and cons, you get offended. You don't see the broader picture. When you are out, when you are a third party, understanding that this is some other person's project, you would be able to see the pros and cons properly. You have a broader picture, you have a greater picture. So step back a little. When you step back a little, you will be able to see the broader reality, the truth. Otherwise, you will be so conjured up with your own ego, with your own thoughts, that you don't, see the right thing. And now coming back to detachment. So hence detachment is very important, and this is what we practice through Shavasana. Detaching the physical body is very easy. I'm observing my elbow, relaxing my elbow, and then moving away from my elbow. I am observing my wrist, relaxing my wrist. I detach myself from the wrist. I'm observing my palm, relaxing my palm, detaching myself from the palm, moving away to the fingers. Now, what am I doing? From one part of the body, I focus, I defocus. With a defocus, I start to focus on something else. And that is with which I could defocus from the earlier one. Simple, right? From the elbow till palms, I try to detach myself with the help of the other parts. Similarly, in Shavasana, you detach yourself from the top, from the bottom of the toenail to the top of your head, the entire physical body. And after that, you delve into the mind, Manomaya Kosha. When you are relaxing further, you observe your mind, which is full of trigunas. What are trigunas? Passion, inertia, and goodness. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattva is goodness, Rajas is passion, and Tamas is inertia. This is what the entire thing is made of, right? So observe the mind, which is full of three qualities, three gunas. Now, with the help of the mind, I detached the awareness of being lying down completely, the awareness of my body. Now, shift from the mind to intellect, to the judging personality inside, He's keep on chattering upon things, doing that, no, 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 this is right, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong, you're doing wrong, he's right, all those things. So from this mind, relax the mind, you shift from mind to intellect. And from that intellect, you move beyond, the transcendence is what Shavasana is teaching. It is not just lying down, number one. It is not just relaxing your physical body, number two. It is not just detaching from mind. It is not just detaching from intellect, but realizing the inner silence. The inner silence. What is this inner silence? It is there in the mind? No. Just as I said in the previous lesson, with mind, you are able to see your ears, your eyes, for example. With intellect, you are able to feel your mind, that this is my mind and it is speaking all sorts of nonsense, ranting upon things. With intellect, you are able to observe your mind. Now, with what? Who is witnessing that intellect? That is where you have to get. You have to get there. Ramana, Paul Brenton asked a question to Ramana Maharishi. He asked Maharishi, Bhagavan he used to, everybody used to call him as Bhagavan. Bhagavan means the Lord Almighty. He is Lord Almighty because he is one. So, Paul Brenton asked, Almighty, should I have to surrender my mind? Should I have to surrender my intellect? Ramana replied, surrender the possessor too. Now, you are not your body, you are not your mind, you are not the intellect, you are someone possessing all these faculties. Now, while behaving with people, while talking to people, what am I thinking? This is Lalitha owning all those, possessing all those qualifications of masters in yoga and PhD in yoga. This is how we take us as. Lalita is a female. She has, expertise in the field, such and such a field. She does these things. She is a mother, she's a sister. This is how we take. But Shavasana, through Shavasana, with practice, every day's practice, we learn that this is not Lalita. This toenail is not Lalita. This wrist is not Lalita. This heart, that pumping heart is not Lalita. All those mind's muck is not Lalita. All those chitter chatter of intellect is not Lalita. Lalita is that possessor of all the four faculties. And by meaning the possessor, by saying the possessor, I mean the inner silence. And here we call it as Sakshi Bhava. Sakshi Bhava, being a witness. Sakshi means witness, Bhava means being. It's so interesting why the word bhava or being is is taken into consideration. Because now I come down to spirituality. Okay. More of Shavasana is done. Without, explaining what spirituality is, it is very difficult. Without explaining theory, can you practice? So Shavasana is just a practice and theory is Vedanta. Theory is Upanishads. So I'm now coming down to spirituality. I'm blending both Shavasana and spirituality here. The state of being is the ultimate objective of spirituality. What am I talking here? State of being. I am there, which means I am spiritual. Often what mistake that we do is we don't be, but we become. All the time we are becoming. At the kitchen, you become a cook. At your office, you are you're an office personal. With your kid, your mother. With your husband, your wife. With your wife, with your girlfriend, Manish becomes the boyfriend. uh, we always become, but we stop being. Why? We have n number of reasons for that. When I talk to people, no. If I'm the way I am, society will not let me be. That's the reason that we give. We have meddled into so many n number of things that we have stopped being us, and started becoming something else. Spirituality in Sanskrita is called adhyatma. Adihi atma. There are two words for this. The prefix is the adihi, the suffix is the atman. Adihi plus atman conjures up, combines together, saying adhyatma. Adhyatma means spirituality. Adihi plus atman. Let me just understand. Let us just understand what these two words means. Atman means self. It is not soul. Please don't confuse it with the word soul. Many a time with the influence of Christianity and other religions, we take it as soul. It is not soul. Why is it not soul? I'll come to that in a few seconds. Atman means self, and adihi means moving towards. So moving towards yourself is spirituality. Now, how well religion is connected with spirituality, I do not know. Religion can show the path of, that right path where your ancestors have been, moving through, and learning this, what self is, realizing what self is. If the path is right, if the path that is being implemented is correct, then you can take it. If you find that you are, deranged from the path, you're not reaching anywhere, then perhaps the path is not right. So I am not very clear about the statement that all religions shows us the same path. I'm not very clear in that thing myself. So I will not be able to say that statement that all religion leads to the same path. But yes, there are certain religions which shows the path where you realize your real self. Now, why self is not soul? Souls always change. Now I am Lalita. Next life, I can be a grasshopper. So it is not being there, it is becoming. So when you become a human being in one life, and then you are becoming some other ant in other life, grasshopper in the third one, when it is dealing with something called becoming, then it is not self, it is soul. Okay, so adihi plus atman. Atman here means self and not soul. Clear in that. I hope I'm clear in that, and you understand what I'm saying. Now, when I was just pondering over what Bhagavad Gita has to say about adhyatma or self, There's this 8th chapter, you can just go through it, 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. In the 3rd shloka, Lord Krishna says, Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavo Adhyatma Muchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhavakaraha Visargaha Karma Sangitaha. Krishna talks about what Adhyatma is, what being spiritual is. It is so interesting. He uses the first word, Aksharam, Adhyatma, or now that you know Adhyatma means moving towards self and self-learning, what self is. Now he is explaining what self is. The first word that he gives for self is indestructible, Aksharam. That which is not destroyed, that cannot be destroyed. What is this that cannot be destroyed? Now, the point is very, very clear. Atman is something which is not made up of matter. Simple. Matter is destroyable. I can, put it into fire. I can burn it. I can dissolve in water. It is done. Matter can be destroyed. So the first statement, the first word itself says the Atman is not made up of matter. The second word is Brahma. Brahma is the term that Upanishads give for Atman, the self. And Bhagavad Gita is not an Upanishad, but it is counted always into Upanishads. Upanishatsu, they say. Among all Upanishads, the greatest. That's how we call Bhagavad Gita is. So it also gives the same terminology called Brahman. Brahman means the self. Okay. Param, Aksharam, Brahma. The third word says Paramam. The first word said it is not matter. If it is not matter, what is that one which is not destroyed? If something is created, then it should be destroyed. So there should be something which is not created, not destroyed. So we have learned in physics and chemistry that energy is not destroyed nor created. Neither destroyed nor created. So is Atman is some kind of energy? Now here he gives the word called Paramam. Paramam means transcendental living entity. Now with the word Paramam, we can, negate the idea the Atman is neither matter nor energy, because energy is not transcendental. Energy is there very much here in this material world, right? We can see energy. It is through energy we are meeting. Don't you see? Though it is wireless fidelity, it is through energy we are meeting and speaking. I had some problems in the wireless fidelity. Now I'm very, very, very clear. The very moment I'm delivering, you are able to hear it. The same moment, without any disturbance, by God's grace. So, Atman, the self, is neither matter nor energy, because it is indestructible, like no matter can ever be. And it is transcendental, hence it is not energy, because energy belongs to this physical world. Now, what it is? It is a great thing which is not explained properly. It is indestructible. It is beyond world. It is beyond words, and it is called Svabhavaha. He calls it as the eternal nature, Svabhava. Beautiful. He says it is your own nature, my dear. What's your nature? My nature, I am very emotional. What's your nature? I am very anxious. What's your nature? I am hypercritic. That's not your nature. That's not your nature. What's your nature? My revered guru, Kanchi, there is this Kanchipuram mutt of Adi Shankaracharya. And in his lineage came Sri Chandra Shankarendra Shekharendra Saraswati. We call him as Mahapariva. He beautifully puts what Swadharma is. He beautifully puts, what is this nature? What is this Swabhava? He says, if you could see the entire world and you as one, and if you could see the entire world inside you, that is your nature. That is your basic nature. Which means, again, he talks about the same oneness. Will you call river Ganga as something else because it is flowing in Varanasi and it is not there in the Uttarakhand, it is not there in the Haridwar? There are three, 4 stations, no? Many other places where river Ganga flows. It flows in Varanasi, it flows in Haridwar, it flows in Rishikesh, it flows down until Kolkata. But the entire distance, it is called river Ganga only. Just because it is flowing from mountains, it is called something else. That's because it is flowing through plains, it is called something else. We don't do that. We call it as the same name, the same water, the same waters of Holy Ganga, right? In the similar manner, just because we have a different eye, we have a different nose structure, we speak different languages, we are not different. We are all one amsha, one essence of that Lord's grace, that self. What is that which is common between Mihaela and me, Aurelia and Mihaela, Cassie and Mihaela, Johanna and me? What is that common? This self, this essential nature which is indestructible. Mihaela is, Aurelia is, Lalita is, Manish is common. Being is common. Don't you see? Hello? It is so amazing that the Guru talks as this being as oneness. Find this being everywhere. This particular bottle is, even though it has no life, but being is common in this bottle too, right? Being is common in Cassie, me, everyone, right? Swabhava is being. Swabhava is the real nature. Now in Shavasana, coming back to it, in Shavasana, by detaching yourself from the body, by detaching yourself from the mind, by detaching yourself from the judgmental ability called intellect, you move to the inner being who possesses all these, who just witnesses quietly, doesn't meddle with anyone. It doesn't meddle with, he doesn't meddle with your mind, he doesn't meddle with your intellect. He doesn't say intellect is right, mind you, shut up. He doesn't say. He's just witnessing. Why? Because he is in peace. There's lots and lot of things happening between mind and intellect, all cacophony. But he's just witnessing. That witness, that being is what you have to get, is what you have to, realize. I've been saying this, you can't, when you're blindfolded, you can't say the difference between a silk cloth and a cotton cloth unless feeling it. No? You should feel, oh, this is silky. No? Oh, this is made up of cotton. Unless until you feel this being inside you and recognize this is that being there everywhere around me, which is a substratum of entire universe, which is the underlying principle of everything around me, and see that oneness. If you don't feel that, Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyaha na Medhaya na Bahuna Shrutena. Upanishad says, by speaking like this, by intellectually, logically analyzing, applying like things like this, or by listening to it continuously, you will not be able to understand, you will not be able to comprehend what Atman is, what spirituality is. So how do you do it? You have to realize, give time. Guruji used to talk about 4 wives. I'll tell this 4 wife story. It is very interesting. And then there are a few things that I have to deal about, and then I'll finish this. I was actually waiting for a psychotherapist because I had some things for her, with her to share. But anyways, I'll put that a while later. But talking about this 4 wife story is very interesting. So there was this businessman, very rich, he had 4 wives. 4th wife is young, very diligent, he loves her like anything because she's young, she's beautiful, she has this resplendent color and beautiful skin. So he is happy with her. But he has a little doubt in her. Oh, this girl, if I'm going to die, I'm so old, this girl will go away, leave me. So he has that thing inside his mind. The third wife. Regarding the 3rd wife, he is very happy because he used to like to show off with people. This 3rd one is very, luxurious, glamorous, and very intelligent. So he used to take the 3rd wife to meetings and all, to shake hands with great people. She has that. She has that ability to carry her. So he always takes the 3rd wife to show off with people. And the second wife was very, very benevolent, very caring, very nurturing. She offers all help. She offers all support. Whenever this merchant, this businessman, encounters any loss or any kind of trouble in his profession, she's always there. She used to give beautiful suggestions, and she gives the moral support and all. The first wife, she's old. Old hags are no value. So he doesn't go to her house only. He didn't even take care of her. He didn't even give money to her to take care of her. And she was so slender. She was without any money. Sometimes she had to sleep without any food at night. But she didn't complain. She didn't say anything. She was there living with him. One fine day, that fine day will happen. That is death day for everyone. So he was bedridden, and doctor said that, look, your cancer stage is, is very last, is exceedingly last. So you're about to leave. Do all those things that you want to do. I felt so bad. I've been running around, amassing wealth, properties, assets, keeping 4 wives, maintaining them, all the children, their education, everything I did. This is what I'm going to see. I'm going to be all alone. If I'm going to die all alone, how lonely I'll feel. So it's a story. So he asks his 4th wife, because the 4th wife was the one whom he loved. He called his 4th wife, saying that, okay, listen, these are my last days, and when I'm going to leave this material world. Will you come with me? The fourth wife said, no way. What the hell? Oh, you old fellow. What have you thought about me? No? She just, very rude she was. And then she actually banged the door and went away. It felt so bad for him, It was like rock, the rock of snow getting bashed down, and he felt so worried. Terrible he felt. He called up the third wife. The third wife came. She asked for water. No, I have everything. I'm not feeling hungry. But listen, I have something in my mind which is very worrying. What is that you have? No, I'll be all alone after my death. Please come with me. She said, what are you talking about? It's absolutely nonsense. How can he come with you? I was actually thinking of someone else in my mind. I'm going to marry him. Marry that fellow when you're dying. This was even worse. At least that girl went away. And the third wife actually said that she's leaving and marrying someone else in front of his face only. He's dying. So it felt more terrible for him. He didn't speak any word. He was just lying there. That second wife came. She was very loving, caring. She was actually worried. Why are you worrying? Please don't worry. I know these are your last days, but die happily. Have that contentment in your life and in your death too. That's what she is giving, all those moral, valuable lessons. So husband says, no, I'm not worrying for that I'm leaving. But this is worrying that I'm leaving lonely. No, I'm left lonely. Can you accompany me? He asks. The second wife was very considerate. She has been always. So she said, yes, I can definitely come along with you. But, only till the burial ground. I can stand there, shed some tears for you, pay some respects with a flowery garland. But beyond that, I don't think so. He was all alone. He was struck by death already. And then he heard a feeble voice from inside. I'll come with you. He could see nobody. And then slowly a ghostly appearance. It was ghostly because she was so slender. She was so thin. All she could wear was a, sari which is completely torn. He's an Indian merchant, right? So sari completely torn. And she was so weak, feeble, all her eyes went inside, all dark circles, completely malnutritioned. He couldn't identify her. He's asking, who are you? Don't you remember me? I'm your first wife. All these years you hadn't taken care of me. But I am there. I'll always be there with you. That's how the story ends. Now, moral of the story. All of us have these 4 wives. All of us. The 4th wife is our body. We've been taking care of it with all the luxuries possible. Moisturizing cream, lotions and whatnot. What do you call those? Designer garments. Everything. All the luxuries possible, we are taking care of this body. But the body will never give, its company with us, because body is not us. The third wife. Let me go in the descending order. The third wife, whom we like to show off, is our properties, is our assets, is our kids whom we like to show off with people. The status that we have earned. Because we think this is me in the society. This is how I have to keep myself, maintain myself in the society. But the fact is, now they all get nominated to another person when we die. Like she married another person when he died. The second wife is our family, who had given moral support, who had given all the financial support, the valuables, the values that they give. Wonderful, excellent. But all that they could, do is come down to the burial ground, pay some respects for you when you leave. Don't you think so? Yes. Hello, are you all there? You're frozen, or you're frozen with Wi-Fi. You're frozen by the fact of the whole wife story, huh? So, the first wife is yourself, which you are least taken care of. We don't pay attention to ourselves, this very ethereal nature that we have within. That's the commonest of all. We are impurifying, we are actually trying to pay ill attention to such layer. But this self is what we are, and it is always accompanying us. It will never throw you down. It will always be there. So this is what self or Atman means. And Adhyatma, real sense of spirituality, is to realize this self. Realize this indestructible self. Realize this transcendental living entity. Realize this very being which is there, embedded everywhere around us. On the other hand, psychology also talks about self. But, I wrote down the definition of psychology according to, the definition of self according to psychology. It just says, self in psychology is a person's experience. Person's experience as individual, person's experience with society, anything for that matter, continually through time and place. Experience can include consciousness of one's physicality, as well as characters, as well as emotions. Again, modern psychology, modern science think self as physical body, mind, emotions, and don't pay attention to the other layers which we really are. We are more than this. We are that possessor of all these faculties. Upanishad says, Amritasya putraha. We are all the sons of immortality, that indestructible factor. We are all the daughters. Sons is not just sons, gender specific, which means daughters, yes. We are all daughters of that indestructible factor. Hence, Swami Vivekananda, could place the golf ball into the pocket very nicely. He says, when you realize yourself, you can actually tap all the potentials, all the skills. You're just a writer, you can sing. You're just a singer, you can dance. Because you are a storehouse of all power within you. That's what Swamiji says. That's what Swami Vivekananda says. And understanding this not understanding. You understood, right? You understood what I've spoken. Clearly understood. But we haven't realized. Even while speaking, me, you ask about me, I haven't realized. Right? Now, our objective is to realize this powerhouse. If you realize this powerhouse, if you are constantly in touch with that powerhouse, there is no misery, because misery is duality. There is no non-competence. Again, non-competence is duality. There is there is no bondage, because bondage is duality. Yeah. Hello. So I end my talk over here because it's already one complete hour. If there is any question that you have in your mind, we can discuss it over. And then Manish can very well tell what can be the next topic also.
So first of all, it was a very nice lecture, and the thing I liked about this lecture was there was a story which we can correlate. So I will request you that whenever you take the next lecture, and if you think you can start with a story, and the moral of the story can be a message that will be more understandable for us.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I have.
I intentionally ended with the story because when when the story is given in the first, it is very easy to comprehend. Your mind will not work. When you give it as the last resort, then you can find the link what I was being, speaking all throughout. That's why I intentionally made it at the end. But anyhow, I'll put that in the first.
Perfect, no problem. So what I was want to say was every lecture, if possible, should have a story in between so that we can understand it more easily with a
Yes,
small practical example. So from
completely
practical
understood.
example, I also would like to end this session with a question that what suggestion you can give that how we can start our spiritual journey, because
Yes.
if there are 8 people here, I will ask them, 5 of them will say I'm spiritual. Okay, so that was the reason I wanted that people to understand this is the real spirituality. So how we can start our first step or journey as real spiritual person.
Yes. One, Manish, you have started actually. What Upanishads, suggest the first thing is to be with people, good people, in the companionship of good people who are really spiritual. Is one momentum that is being taken, you know, like the series of satsanga that we have started up with, you know, it itself shows that we have, climbed the first step. The second thing we always try to, slip away is the implementation aspect. The problem with us, the nice thing with us, the advantage with us, that whatever I was speaking, you all already knew, because we're all self now. You all already knew. There is nothing new that I am teaching you. No? Don't you think so? You all already knew about it. Alina can speak hours together. If Alina has been asked, yes, yes, she also knew much about spirituality. Everybody knows, because one knows one's own self. The problem is implementing. For implementation, as a field of, as an expert in the field of yoga, I would always suggest yoga practice. When I say yoga practice, people feed their ego by practicing difficult of the difficult asanas. Because this is human mind. Human mind actually feeds the ego and finds the pleasure by achieving something very difficult, challenging. That gives the thrill. We have taken yoga as this entity, thrill entity. That is very pitiable part. I'm not saying don't practice advanced asana. I also practice myself advanced asana. I can do few of all advanced asanas. Yes. But while doing those most difficult asanas also, you are not happy with your egoistic pleasure that I have achieved something new good, or I have achieved my bodily flexibility, not having that intention. But by practicing asanas, practicing the surrender, you know. For example, there is this Upavishta Konasana where we spread our legs completely and then bend forward. And then you can, hold your toes with your index finger. Your chest is completely on the floor. You get the picture. Yes. So Upavishta Konasana does not say your pelvic strength. Upavishta Konasana teaches you how completely surrender you can be. So that is a kind of emotional lesson that you should take from yoga practice. Number 2, like we talked about Shavasana. We have been relaxing our body parts in Shavasana. But while practicing Shavasana, are we practicing detachment? Are we practicing defocus? That's what we are going to, no, make a notional correction in our life. So incorporation aspect, implementation, wherever you go wrong, try be, consciously vigilant about it, that I am not feeding my ego through my practice, but I'm trying to recognize myself. Self is not ego. Self is not intellect. Self is not mind. Self is not this body. I'm not enhancing any of these 5 faculties. I'm trying to be. When you do that in practice also, they say in a span of 45 days, a seeded thought can become a habit. That's why in Yoga Nidra, we seed a thought. Okay, there is a sankalpa, seed in any positive short statement that I am happy, my cells are non-malignant. For cancer patients, we used to give this notional corrections in Shavasana, where they repeat this positive statements, which we call as sankalpa. So that sankalpa has to happen every time in yoga practice. And let me move more towards self and less towards universe. When you find more towards self, you will be less distracted by the universe, and then at a point you will find yourself in the universe, eradicating all those distractions. So my kind suggestion would be implementing this lesson in your daily practice of yoga. Second, accompanying yourself with good people, with good hearts, with good spiritually strong people, so these two would be my suggestions.
Okay. I think you have another event in 15 minutes, so we will leave you here. Okay, I have.
That's why I'm already decked up.
Okay. So still we will give you 15 minutes break. If they don't have any questions, I have few questions, which is that's going to be the next topic. So okay, I will just you don't have to answer. Just is part of the next question, next session's questions. So what I understood from your last lectures that you challenged the astrology and married a person, right? Okay, so I really want to know why this chakra yogas are getting famous. Why this is really the postures can improve our chakras. Now I can understand that you are saying that a positive statement can change a thing. So can we like focus on chakras during the postures and along with the positive, and we can open our third eye, which is the next. People are asking that we can open up a third eye. So I just want a proper understanding of how reliable this chakra yoga is, what the chakras means, and we can really work it on or it or not. Okay, so a kind of a practical lecture like Shavasana and detachment. Okay.
Sure, I'll do that.
Okay, so okay, Alexandra, Simona, the meeting today was at 10. I wrote you in the message, but I understand you missed that message. So
Sorry, anyhow the recording is done.
yeah, I will send you the recordings, and next time it's at 11. Okay.
Please,
Yes,
from now on, when you change the hour, make it a separate message. I have hundreds of messages from school and work and everywhere.
Simona, please don't take that to Manish. It is my mistake. I'll take.
Don't worry. I am mad at me because I should have read it until the last line, but I never do. I say, oh, I have the link valid for tomorrow. Fine. Okay, everything is fine. And that's checked up in my head. Well, I'm sorry I missed it. It makes a difference if I'm present since the beginning.
Yeah, I understand. I totally understand. Even me, I used to attend certain lessons which I don't get through much of recordings when I'm very much there virtually. I try to imbibe more,
Mhm.
Virtual presence makes a lot. I totally agree to it, but please don't take this time to manage. It is because of me. I have some event that, at 3 that I have to be very much upon. So I only requested him for the change of time. If at all there won't be any change of time, I would have cancelled your session. So I didn't want that to happen. And it was because of me. I'm very sorry, Simona. This time,
I
please
don't blame
forgive
anybody
me
else but
on
me.
behalf of
No,
Manish.
I don't blame anybody else but me. Not you, not Manish for sure.
Don't,
So I'm gonna
oh,
get the
Simona,
recording.
don't do that. Don't do that even. Forgive me instead. Okay.
So
Thank
thank
you.
you for everyone for
See you
joining us
next
in the
time.
lecture, and see you next time.
Okay, bye. Thank you, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, I thought it's another Loredana when I saw the difference in the name. Then I realized. Then she wrote me, Manish, I missed. And then I realized you are using through your phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
It was understandable. You understood everything.
Yes.
Good. Okay then. So see you next week then. Okay. If
See
you
you
want to
next
come
week.
today, you can come today. Otherwise, next week.
Next week you will be.
Okay then.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.